Hello, DM Geezer Jim here, doing some more audiobook work. Doing the audiobook on Uncaged Faces of Sigil. Our next section, our next article, our next non-player character is more of a creature than an NPC, but you know they do what they do. Technically, the shadow fiend doesn't exist in later editions, so you probably will need to substitute some other appropriate monster. But this is an interesting story. It's told from the point of view of two victims of the Ly'Kritch. So we're going to read through here. We're going to talk, just read through it. We'll talk about what is Ly'Kritch, what does this come into play, and all of this normal stuff. So thanks for hanging out, and let's get into it. The Ly'Kritch. Hello, is anyone out there? Can anyone hear me? Where am I? For the power's sake, what's going on? Can Shut your yap, Burke. You're driving the rest of us barmy. Bad enough to be sold to fiends without having to listen to your rattling too. Fiends? What are you talking about? I was in the Civic Fest Hall in a sensorium when well, I don't remember. Where am I? I can't see anything. I can't move. You've got nothing to move, you leatherhead. You're just thought now. Ly'Kritch sucked out your mind and stuffed it into a gem, same as us. I think we're in the gray wastes. Hush. Can't you feel the decay all around? Ly'Kritch? Gem? Gray waste? Oh, powers above. Have I gone mad? Nope. Well, actually, you might have, but plenty of fiends collect minds that have snapped, so quit crying to your powers. The only place you'll end up is a shadow fiend's belly or in its trophy case. I think I'm going to be sick. Like I said, Burke, you've got nothing to be sick with. You're new, so you still feel like you. But your body's long gone. You're just air, just thought, just intellect now. Sounds like Ly'Kritch nabbed you in the fest hall. No, I went to the fest hall, to the sensoriums, to fill up on experiences stored in the Sensate's recorder stones. I don't know anyone named Ly'Kritch. Ly'Kritch ain't a person, it's a shadow fiend, one of them skeletal monsters of slippery darkness, all wings and horns and claws and fangs. Half the sods trapped here with us remember hitting the Civic Fest Hall, looking to grab a few experiences in the sensorium, and then nothing. Guess old Ly'Kritch hides in the shadows there, sucking recorder stones dry of memories. They're like food and drink to shadow fiends. Of course, it don't pass up Burks like you just fall into its lap. You go right into the gems, ready for sale or trade. Is that what happened to you too? Nah, I was never much for the sensoriums. I like real things, not fantasies. It was Kata who got me. Kata with her silver skull and her black coin. Kata? Is she a shadow fiend as well? Hardly, though I'm pretty sure she works for Ly'Kritch. Kata's a dustman, green as an emerald and bald as a genie. But she's a real looker, and when she came up to me with that grin and skull, my bone barks just started flapping. Skull? You mean she was an undead? No, you fool. She had a mimmer, one of those magical constructs for storing up 10 lifetimes worth of knowledge. She said she wanted to fill the thing with information, wanted to learn as much as she could. Well, I wanted her to stick around, so I spilled every dark I could think of, and plenty I made up on the spot. But I figure I came off too smart. Ly'Kritch stalked me that very night and drained my brain box. But why would a dustman work for a shadow fiend? And where does this Ly'Kritch get the gems it catches us in? And how does it move between Sigil and this horrid place? And if you'd shut up for a minute, maybe I can toss some chant your way. Since getting nabbed, I've talked to a good few minds around me, all caught different ways, all with different pieces of the dark. Makes quite a picture when you put it all together. Oh gods, I don't think I want to know after all. I'm going to wake up in my blankets soon, you'll see. Whatever you say, Burke. Might as well give it a listen then, right? I think Kata, being a dustman and all, hides Ly'Kritch down in the catacombs under the mortuary during daylight hours. One sod who broke into the mortuary told me he got chased underground right into a statuary of shadows, a black garden full of sculptures of pure darkness. That's the last thing he remembers before ending up here. There's probably a portal connecting the catacombs to the waste. The sodding mortuary is lousy with portals after all. But why does the fiend want our minds? Pipe down. Don't you want to hear about the gems, our prisons? They ain't no ordinary stones, you know. Kata buys them off a trader from the Dwarven Mountain on the Outlands. The gems, they've got special powers to help dwarf petitioners reach their final reward. They're like conduits for spirits, I think. Perfect for snaring sods like us, huh? But how does the Ly'Kritch transfer minds into the gems? I think I remember seeing an inky shape in the darkness. Does it matter? We're here now. Ly'Kritch brought us to the waste to trade us for minds caught by other shadow fiends. Then it takes the new lot back to Sigil and sells them to an old tiefling crone, Alluvius Ruskin. What? I've purchased gate keys from her shop a dozen times. She's a sweet, gentle... She's a monster, friend. Not a shadow fiend exactly, but just as black inside. Bought a few gems for her now and again, did you? It's a sure bet they were from the waste. They held captured mines. But you still haven't said why. For someone who likely be stuck in a gem for a few hundred centuries, you sure are impatient. Ever heard of the legend of the wizard Shekalor? 10,000 years ago, he tried to bring down the Lady of Pain. Seems he went to Pandemonium hunting for an orb that was said to contain the mind of an even more ancient spellslinger. A mage who was imprisoned because he really did have enough power to threaten the lady. Shekalor never found that orb, but it hasn't stopped Ruskin from looking for it. See, it's said that the orb is really a gem with the ancient minds inside? Bright lad. Ruskin wants to free that mage, so she's got Ly'Kritch trading gems with every shadow fiend in the lower planes. She figured that eventually the monster will bring her the gem with the mage inside. How does she know the gem's still in the lower planes, or that the shadow fiends got it, or that, hey, what's going on? I'm moving. Guess you've been sold, Burke. Glad we could chat. If you ever find a way free, look me up and bust me out, too. I got a score to settle with Kata and her boss. All right, so that's the end of that story. What this was basically a conversation between two souls that have been trapped in soul gems. That's the term we're going to use. This is a mechanic for second edition, especially for Planescape, not necessarily something that has made its jump through all of the other editions. So the mechanic of a trapping a soul in a gem for later trading and release. It's been replicated as soul coins in Avernus, the 5e Descent into Avernus, a few of the other things. So the idea of shunting souls and intellects into inanimate objects for transfer and trade, in exchange of goods, as it were, for the lower plane denizens, has been established in multiple editions. So what we're finding out here is the Ly'Kritch is one of these shadow fiends that actually supposedly works with the Dustman factal known as Kata. Well, she's not quite the factal, it depends on the timeline, but a very powerful Dustman, one of the factions within the city. So this is in addition to a story just telling, a horror tale, man. What would be horrifying to wake up in a gym, not realizing that your body's gone and everything else. Hopefully we don't do this to our player characters. One of the kind of the golden rules in D&D as a DM is you don't want to remove player agency too much. You still want them to be in control of a situation, even if they're not really in control. They need to believe they are. So putting a player character in a soul gem tends to be verboten, as it were, but recovering some other non-player character of importance from a soul gem is definitely the stuff of adventures. And the Ly'Kritch definitely certainly gives you a tool to kind of bring that kind of a game bring that aspect into your gameplay. A lot of times we're going to the lower planes just to bash a bad guy, just to stab a demon, just to do whatever. But implementing the Ly'Kritch and Kata and the Dustman into play can give you hard targets, as it were, can give you good quest hooks that can lead to bigger and bigger things. It can start as simple as just a gem laying around a shop that you need to pick up, and that gem has got an important soul that knows a secret that knows a secret that knows a secret. But all of a sudden that secret becomes a little bit too much, and the Ly'Kritch is now hunting the players down. This is a little bit more of a hard start idea for a campaign or an adventure hook. One of the other things that this kind of puts the story of the Ly'Kritch puts into play is the idea that you have multiple factions, multiple organizations throughout the Outer Planes that are working together, not necessarily knowing what's happening. Bytopia is considered a neutral good plane. The dwarves of the mountains there tend to be neutral good. They're mining these gems and they're selling these gems because that's what dwarves do. They may not know or they may not care that some of these gems are being used to trap innocent souls for barter, for transfer, for things like that. So getting the transposition between two different alignments in two different planes can often offer quite a bit of entertainment, quite a bit of adventure, fodder for adventure as well. If you're not so much about going and bashing a demon down in the plane of Hades in the Grey Wastes, maybe you go to Bytopia and treat with these dwarves to let them know what's happening with their products. So there's a lot of really cool adventure ideas wrapped up in this one story, but above all else, it shows that, man, in the blink of an eye, a life can be snuffed out, a life can be traded, a soul can be pulled from its body and shunted off into the outer planes somewhere else and lost to all sense and time. The other thing you have buried in here is the tale of Shekalor, this ultra-powerful wizard, someone that was almost powerful enough to challenge the Lady of Pain. And Aluvius Ruskin, a name that's popped up a couple times that we'll get to later in the book, is searching for this. So this is another constant theme, a constant adventure hook, a campaign idea running within this book that also, that is working within Sigil as well. Lots of cool stuff in here. But yeah, the Ly'Kritch is not a non-player character that your players are going to talk with. They're not going to chat with them. This is that deep, dark shadow in the corner that hops out, the jump scare thing, and definitely a problem. So a shadow fiend is not something, like I said, that happens anymore. Darkness, 15-foot radius, fear, 30-foot radius, magic, jar. If the target saves versus spells, Ly'Kritch is stunned on it. So he generally has the ability to pull your body out of your soul and put it into a gem. So, location, he's nesting in the catacombs beneath the mortuary, hiding in the civic fest hall sensoriums, or walking the streets in the body of Kada, or another sod. Yes, we have a distinct connection between the Ly'Kritch and Kada here. Ly'Kritch is like a feeling of being watched, being stalked by something silent and invisible. As it nears, it brings a chill in a pitch black form and can be seen only in the back of the mind until from behind it smothers its victim head like a hood. In combat, Ly'Kritch tries to sneak up on sods marked by Kada's black coins, preferring to attack in maximum darkness so it can jump and rend with all four claws. It often leaves its victim alive so it can possess the body and walk around in daylight. See also Kada, Aluvius Ruskins, and Tarholt for connected NPCs. So the Ly'Kritch, we're getting into an active NPC, an active monster, an active creature that your players are likely, if you follow this path, are going to likely interact. This is one of the first combat-driven NPCs that's been presented in the book so far. Yes, we have looked at combat stuff for all of the non-player characters, but the Ly'Kritch is genuinely designed to assault and attack our players, assault and attack their sensitivities, and the connections with the other factions goes a little bit deeper after the attack. So, interesting NPC, fun monster. If you really want to torment your players, have the Ly'Kritch start chasing them. If they piss off Kada, if they piss off the Dustman, the Ly'Kritch is going to be there. This is kind of that mid-tier bad guy, if you will. But yeah, that's the end of our story here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Likes, follows, subscribes are appreciated. Leave me something in the comments. Share this with your friends. Let me know what you think. But above all else, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you're enjoying the series, and we'll see you back for more soon. Take care.